ẹ pè wá lórúkọ bàbá wa àwa lọmọ Oòduà àtẹ̀wọ̀nrọ̀. Ẹ sà wá lóríkì èyí tá à ń jẹ́ ilé bàbá ọmọ kì í bọ́mọ lẹ́rù. My name is Yusuf Alabi Balogun, aka Aremo Gemini, and this is my creative story. Well, I grew up in the ghettos of Ijora, and I think it actually influenced my storytelling and my journey as a creative so much. The realities I grew up seeing, the environment I grew up within. You know, and in an environment, when you see so many wrongs and you cannot practically come out and stop it or challenge it because, oh, you want to play safe, you don't want to play on the rough edges. The only gift you have at that point is expression rather than impression. So I can go from a small room to a larger space to tell these stories, then maybe I can do a conscious effort to right these wrongs. And so almost everything I've seen in my environment, the intricacy of my language, which I grew up speaking at home, as against the norm of, oh, your native language is vernacular, don't speak it in the school, don't speak it at home. I had that privilege of speaking it right from cradle. So I understood the beauty in it, I understood the lushness in it, and it influenced my journey so much to eventually getting started as a creative and ending up as a multimedia artist. My works come from a place of different emotions, but I think paramount topics in my heart would be rage, femininity, quest for activism, and telling the marginalized stories, the stories of the people in the grassroots, because I'm one of them. I'm one of those people from the lower pyramid. I know what it is like to try to draw yourself out from the mud and try to reach for the apex. Opportunities are limited, resources are limited. Most people from the grassroots just want to wake, eat, have a bit of fun, what they consider fun, and go back to bed. But when you want to be more, I see so many people who have, given up on their passions, who have given up on their aspirations just because of the environment they grew up in. And I do not want to be that kind of person. So the only way I can return hope to them, the only way I can return optimism to them is to tell their stories, is to activate their energies through my works. And of course, I have seen enough cases of female oppression. I've seen enough cases of, abuse that have been swept under the carpet, assault, molestations, femicides, and then you still see people on X, you still see people on Facebook, Instagram, still blaming the victims. What I can do is to tell these stories. Because people will be like, as a man, why are you telling assault stories of females? Why can't the females tell their stories? But I have a mother. I have more sisters than brothers. I have female friends, and I know what it is like. And maybe at the end of the day, personally for me, when I explore teams, the world, or should I say, the organized creative community want to box an artist on the kind of stories you should tell. But the stories that are important to me are the stories that I tell. So today I might decide to, still explore widowhood, and then maybe tomorrow I might wake up and explore love. But I feel like as much as we still have problems in the country, as much as there are still so much issues going around the human world, so much catastrophe facing the human world that we are believed not to tell, I will still keep, having more than enough to talk about, because these stories must be documented. These raw realities must be told exactly as they are. And that is what I'm doing. Every story starts with an idea. I mean, every finished work starts with an idea. So for me, the moment an idea strikes me, I am taking days, most times, if not weeks, to walk my mind through the story. I mean, most times I have the story in my head already. I know what I want my poem to sound like. I know what order I want the narrative to go. But when I put the pen to paper, I'm not getting my desired result. I'm not getting the poem that I want. I'm not getting the story that I want in the language and stylistic that I want. So most times I have over 10, 12 drafts. I write an entire poem and then I scrap it entirely and start writing again days later. I have so many unfinished drafts. I I tend to function more when I'm actually using an actual paper and pen than working on gadgets or writing on phone notes. I don't function so well with phone notes, but I'm not old school. I tend to function really well with papers and pens. So I may take a week, 2 weeks, a month to activate that story and tell that story on paper exactly the way I want it. And the moment it looks like what I want, then the next process will be getting it into the head, which many people call the memorization process. I do the mirror works. I work with my mirror so much. I work with sounds too when I'm memorizing. I mean, indifferent to so many artists who prefer to work with silence, like, oh, the entire place must be silent when they are trying to get their poems in their head. I enjoy memorizing when there's a music playing or there's an external sound playing somewhere. It gives me this feel of handling distractions, handling sounds when I'm actually on stage, when I'm performing it. So I imagine myself on stage. I imagine someone shouting among the audience. I imagine someone making a phone call somewhere in the hall and it's getting into my head. So I have pictured every eventualities that can happen on stage while I'm already in my room. And then when I'm done memorizing and I know that, oh, the poem is in my head, I start internalizing. And the process of internalization is making sure that every part of me, every part of my body agrees with the poem, such that a month from now, 2 months from now, if I have a reason to perform that poem again, it's more like I'm just revising it and I'm not trying to. It's very easy to memorize poems. Every artist, I think, can play around memorizing a poem, but internalizing a poem, making your body become a part of it, such that you are reciting a sad poem and you are breaking down in the middle of the poem because that's become a part of you. It doesn't feel like you are telling an external story anymore. And that is how I see my poems anyway. It might be divergent for other artists, but I see my poems as a kind of my children, a part of me. So I want, when I'm performing it, I want you to see the fire within my eyes. I want you to see that poem being owned by me and not just me giving you what you want to hear. Because no, a poem is an offering, a story is an offering, and when you give it to the world, you must make them realize by your action, by your delivery, that oh, this is a gift and it must be treated as such. Talking about the most challenging part of creating a piece, I think every single process of actually getting a work of art out there is very, very challenging in its own way and in its own right. I mean, when we go out of the performative space now and we are thinking of, oh, we want to make a poetry video, we want to make a production, that is even like a more accolade process. But bringing it down, I think telling the story itself is bogus, because it's very easy to have a story in your head, and when you are writing it, when you are noting it down, new ideas start popping in your head, new story arcs start popping in your head, and if you are not careful, you would navigate away from the direction of the story you want to tell, and then navigate to a new story entirely. So when I want to tell story, I'm always having outlines on days that I can, always wanting to be so accurate that at the end of the day, even when I get on stage and I deliver that poem, or you come across it online and you watch it, and what you interpret it as is not exactly my intention as an artist. I wouldn't want it to be so far away or so detached or even misconstrued as that. So yeah, telling a story, there's no perfect way to tell a story. There's no perfect story also, But if you tell that story the way it is in your head, you look at it in years to come, you see that timelessness, you see that honesty in it. Telling the story itself, creating the story itself is a lot of work, because I mean, you can only internalize a finished work. You can only internalize a finished story. So bringing that story to life in the first place is a lot of process.
mo ojú àtẹ̀wọ̀n rọ̀ ẹ ṣàwá lórí kí èyí tá à ń jẹ́ ilé bàbá ọmọ kì í bọmọ lẹ́rù láti gbòǹgbò ọ̀nà àfàtó àtẹ̀pá orí tó.
I say it every time that I'm a man of many influences. I'm a man of many influences. So right from time, I grew up in a home where the likes of Ayinla Omowura, Haruna Ishola, Yusuf Olatunji, Salawa Beni were constant. Tunji Oyelano, they were constant. You would wake up in the morning and then my dad is blaring one of these legends cassette, or one of their works, and whether you want to listen or not, you just don't have a choice than to have it, absorb it in your subconscious. So right from time, their nuances, their kind of topics they explore, the way they created their art was something that appealed to me right from time, especially in the sense of percussion. I think it's to a large extent influenced my love for percussions in art and my respect for percussionist Ilu Ayan and all of that. And then growing up, I had more opportunity to listen to beautiful Nubia, Asha, Temi Ovasa, Johnny Drew, and a couple of these artists, Brimo, you know, their artistry, the kind of themes they explore, the way by which they explore their topics does a lot for me as an artist. I see myself in their rebellion. I see myself in the path they chose, which is not, exactly mainstream, which is not exactly common, which is not exactly, the bad kind of sounds that people want to hear. So their artistry, their form of artistry, their pursuit of art comes to play so much for me. And when I look at it, I feel like I need to pick one or two things from them every time I absorb myself in their works. So I mean, most times when I'm working on certain poems or certain projects and I can't seem to get a headway, I just drown myself in a catalog of Temi Ovasa or Beautiful Nubia, and by the time I'm out of it, or maybe a catalog of Shola Alison or Bani, and by the time I'm out of it, my mind is refreshed. I'm seeing art from a new perspective. So yes, this uh rebellious artist, so to say, non-conforming artist, they play a huge role in my art. They influence me a lot, and I can only say that yes, these are the kind of timeless creatives. So when someone sees me and they are like, oh, my work appeals to them, they feel my work is evergreen or something, I give a bunch of flowers to these people. Yes, I do. And that's a very interesting question. That's a very interesting question, because really I think it's difficult for me to pick the piece I feel most connected to, because it's difficult for me to pick, because every single work, I don't write so many works. I believe in quality over quantity. So except I have something to say, I don't pick a pen. And when I do, if I have 10 poems, 9 out of my poems comes from my inner core. They come from an experience that I actually witnessed, or that happened in my presence. So even when I perform a poem I wrote 4 years back, now I still feel immediately emotionally connected to it as a very heavy rate, because there's a story behind it, there's an experience behind it. So I mean, my mind is presently racing now, trying to think of all my poems, and I can actually see the idea behind everything. I mean, I wrote Yami Oshorunga to address female emancipation, deifying women, attacking femicides and the lesser respect we seem to have for women in this society. I wrote Irawe when a friend lost his mother. It was a very cathartic piece for me. I wrote Ejika when I lost my dad. So almost every poem of mine has an emotional significance, or a part on me. And yeah, I think it's when you have, there is this conversation about when you have 5 children, there's a particular one that you love so much, even if you don't admit it. But I think for me, I have so many children, and maybe I love them equally, or I just share this emotional connection with them. I really can't pick. So social media has actually been really, really helpful. To be very honest, everyone, I mean, a lot of poets have gone from writing under their shelves, and hoping that, oh, one day I'll get to be on a stage and share my works with an audience. Now all you need is actually a smartphone, get a fair lightning, record something, put it out, and before you know it, you're having one audience, you're having two audience who are interacting with your works, who are giving opinions with your works. And I feel, for me, even, it has helped me in a lot of ways to connect with so many people beyond this particular borders. So yeah, I mean, people have gotten to have I think, a more vivid understanding of what poetry is via social media, beyond the formal setting of, Shakespeare, analyze a poem by Dickens in class, and then you are settling for iambic pentameter and meter and then rhymes, and then you get on one. Like, no, poetry is difficult. No, you can sit at home and then just go on Instagram, type hashtag spoken word, hashtag poetry, and you have loads of poetry from, I mean, narrowing it down to Nigeria now, you have loads of poetry from Moyo Sololo, Kure, Tobi Abiodun, Forward, Uma, David Odiase. You are exposed to a large world of poetry, and you see that, oh, it doesn't have to be so difficult. It can actually be relatable. Social media has been really, really helpful for poets. It has been helpful in shaping the conversation and extending beyond a small room, like I would always say. Every day I get loads of DMs on TikTok and Instagram. Please, I'm a young poet. Please, I'm an aspiring poet. I need your advice. What do you think I can do better? And to be very honest, I think the truth is, create. The truth is, just create. And as much as you are creating, do not be limited in your island. Explore the world of other creatives who have been before you, who are still here, and even those who are already coming after you, or who you call contemporaries. Create, explore work, but find your own voice amidst all of this. Do not, I feel like we have so many poets who want to be like, someone will message me and be like, Aremo Gemini, I love your work. I want to be like you. No, do not be like me. Do not try to be like Tobi Abiodun. Do not try to be like Deborah Johnson. Because when you do this, you are exploring their own truth. You are exploring their own voice. When people see you, they are like, oh, you sound like IB Quick. You have to sound like you. You do not have to sound like another poet. And the only way to do this is to create. Keep creating, whether it is one like, whether it is one applause, whether no one is actually applauding you. Keep creating, keep writing, keep sharing. In so doing this, you are reinventing yourself. You are discovering yourself. You are finding what works for you. You are finding your own truth and your own approach to art. I started art as a poet who was basically exploring African ideas through the English lens. I was writing English poems. Now I've gone from that artist who is writing English poems to someone who is majorly writing Yoruba poems. If someone had told me then that, oh, you should start writing Yoruba poems, I'll have a problem with it now, because, oh, I am living off someone's truth. But no, I charted this part myself. I found it myself and walked through it and felt like, oh, this is the path I'm meant to be on. And that does not mean that tomorrow I cannot decide to, explore another path, because, oh, them labels. I don't believe in labels as an artist. So avoid labels as an aspirant. Do not try to box yourself. Do not try to limit yourself. Just create. Tell stories that are important to you. It does not have to appeal to anyone, as long as it appeals to you, as long as it is your truth, as long as you are expressing it, as long as you are learning in the process, exploring stylistics of other artists, understanding where they come from, understanding why they do what they do. You have to know your why for you to understand your how. And once you know that, and you are creating and you are consistent and you are putting out, the sky is a starting point. And really, I say it every time, there is no aspiring poet, there's no budding poet, there's no established poet, there's no young poet. A poet is a poet. An artist is an artist. Even if it's just one work of art that you've created, you are an artist. You are not a budding artist. You are not a young artist. You are an artist and your art is valid.
Well, I see myself in the next few years. It's actually a tricky question because I mean, so much is happening. You know, the nation is doing a thing and all. But yeah, I mean, if I keep up with my pace and more opportunities, more dynamics keeps coming my way, and then I am utilizing them as I am doing already. I think that I'll be a more grounded revivalist, and even as a person, I'll be a statement in the next years to come. And people who want to endear themselves to the language and not just the art now. I want to be able to be that symbol of rebellion beyond selling out O2 Arena for Yoruba art. I want to be that statement of that human statement in flesh of you can do really great things from a very tiny hollow place. In fact, from no place you can do absolutely humongous things. And I feel like in a few years to come, my heart will be a testament to that. My person will be a testament to that. And I would have been able to catalyze enough conversations, revive conversations on Yoruba publishing system, having more books written in language out there beyond the old scarcity and dryness that we faced with Yoruba text in the last few years. And then people who write in language having more boldness to come on stage and share their thing because Gemini has done it and he did it successfully, and he's reaping the dividends. So yeah, if Aremo Gemini can do it, then why not? I'll be a statement, a force to reckon with. I'm certain. Speaking about my book, Shegilola Aromire Ogidon, I keep saying that it is very difficult, and I mean most readers would agree with me that it is very difficult to say what the book itself is actually about, because it intersects love, it intersects Yoruba spirituality, it intersects toxic relationships, it intersects motherhood, femininity, abuse, horror. There is so much going on in Shegilola Aromire Ogidon. But the main driving fuel for the book and for every other subsequent project of mine would be that yes, I want to see more Yoruba literature works in text out there. I want people to have access. When you go to bookshops, you see English books, you see books by Chimamanda, Chimeka Garrix and all written in English. But how many language books, how many Yoruba books are in bookstores? It's either people are writing and they are not even putting it out and they are just doing indie publishing. I sell within my house. Whoever see it on my WhatsApp status will buy. Or people are not even writing at all because they feel like nobody will buy it. Nobody would want to read a book in language when they can easily get 10 more books in English language. So I wanted to break that course. I wanted to jinx that and make people realize that I can put out a book in Yoruba language and still spark enough conversations sustainable enough that even people who do not understand Yoruba language for a minute wager, they understand Yoruba language and they could actually read the book. And so far, Shegilola Aromire Ogidon is a year plus, and it has proven that it can journey so well. It has actually journeyed so well, and it is still on that voyage. I'm grateful for every hands that it has gotten into. Every positive review that has come alongside with SAO, and it is my hope that by 2025, when I'm dropping my next book, Isekpe, it is my hope that the engagement is better. It is my hope that beyond just creating art, we see a need to actually put out more projects, more works, text, print, media, audiovisual in language, and then there's an ongoing plan to digitalize SAO, and maybe before this interview drops, or maybe after this interview drops, depending on when it drops, the soft copy and audio format of Shegilola Romeo Gidon would actually be out. All of this is in an attempt to digitalize it, make it accessible to everyone in such a way that, oh, years to come, we are not having the same problem we are having now. And then people want to read Dio Fagunwa's book online and they cannot find it on on sale to get a soft copy or something, because no, everyone is ordering it in print. No, make it commercially viable, make it globally acceptable. I am doing that. I'm glad I'm doing that, and I'm not doing that alone. It is possible because you are supporting me. It is possible because you are giving me reasons to continue, and for that, for the love shown to Shegilola Romeo Gidon, I am grateful. Shegilola is grateful, Benga is grateful, and we can only do more.